Good morning. You're now listening to Monday Motivation on RadioNyra with your host Madhu Sharma. I hope you all had a good weekend and a happy one. We have talked about really before, with the self-confidence. We started out with happiness, self-confidence, and then self-esteem. And today, actually, we are going to talk about self-empowerment. So, with that, let us get started. And I hope you enjoyed some of that beautiful sitar music. And listen to that. It's so soothing, and it's a good way to start, right? So self-empowerment we talked about what self-empowerment was last week, but today I'm going to go one more step further, and talk about self-empowerment through balance. Balance in life is so critical and so important that, when your life is not in balance, then that's when we end up getting into problems with getting off track in life, right? And our self-confidence dwindles off, our self-esteem goes down when you're not in balance. So try to really focus on balance. Brings happiness, right? But what is balance actually in our lives? And if you think about the balance, you cannot have a balance all the time, every single day, throughout the week or anything like that. Overall, balance is a key to happiness and your empowerment, your life, actually, right? So alignment, how do you really create that balance even? First of all, you have to know what your values, what guides you in life, right? So alignment with your values is very, very important in finding that balance, right? And then we have to kind of be mindful of your own awareness. What is it that you want? What is it, if each one of us are at a different state in life, right? When somebody's really at early stages, they're looking at education, and so they have to maybe spend more time in their studying and education part of it. And somebody that maybe have younger children or older children going to college, or somebody like myself, which is semi-retired type of personality. So I'm working a little bit, but then I'm also retired. So for me, if I can talk about what my balance looks like, is I have to, part of being a retired person is that the main thing in life for me is my health. So I have to take care of my health, and that's part of the balance. And I do want to work a little bit, like talking to you and helping you understand what empowerment is all about and all that, right? But health is my number one priority at this point in my life. So I have to make sure I work out, but which is also, then you're going further down into balancing about your physical health, mental health, your spiritual health, all of those things. So one thing leads to another, and it kind of adds on, but you have to do all of those things. You have to keep track of all of those things. So having a healthy boundary about, saying no to maybe social life is extremely important. Obviously, all of us know that social life is very important by now. So, but how much social life, So having that boundaries, one can really work out, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, but is that necessary? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But understanding your boundaries, understanding, what is it that you need, and being mindful of your, awareness of your own self, being mindful of that is extremely, extremely important. And there's nothing that I'm telling you that you haven't already heard already, right? But these are the true empowerment tools. So write them down, say what is important at this point in your life, and it'll be different for you than it is for me or the next person, right? But writing that down is a key. then actually having, and sometimes we don't even know where we are off, because until we really start becoming self-aware of where we are, at what point in our, at that point in your life, where are we and why are we off balance? And until really you focus, you nail it down, you keep diving deeper. They talk about the AI now. AI also wants to know, dive deeper, how can I help, asking. So, you have to dive deeper into what your needs are, where your life is, and go a little deeper. I mean, a lot of times people would talk about, I'm not happy. I don't know what they're not happy about. What are you not happy about? What is causing you unhappiness? But people don't even know a lot of times what is causing them unhappiness. So having that gratitude, sometimes we get stuck with the gratitude that I have everything in life. Why am I not happy? Obviously, if one is not happy and they have everything in life, so there's something that's missing. And nobody else can tell you what that is except for you, right? So pay attention to that, understand what that is, and then go deeper into it. So one of the things that really I will talk off and on, which is very close to my heart, and understanding who we are and what we are, is concept of emotional intelligence. We all know what intelligence, IQ, is, right? But emotional intelligence is a big part of self-awareness and understanding and balancing life. So emotional intelligence will help you actually determine and help you with balancing your life. So, if you, depending on what it is, and if you understand it, keeping you calm and mindful, all of those things. But your own emotional intelligence becomes a key to manage your emotions, manage your life, and manage your balance in life to move forward, so you can become empowered, so you can actually move on to the next things in life. But if you don't even know where you are, then it'll be very difficult for you to move on to the next life. And so understanding where you are on this emotional intelligence part of it, right? Self-awareness about your own emotions and your management of those emotions is a key to understanding and key to keeping a balance, right? With that, I'm going to let you think about it for a few minutes, but before I go, have some realistic goals. Have some goals that you are able to measure, to understand your own self-awareness. People think like, I want to be empowered, but how are you going to get empowered? We're talking going down deeper, diving deeper, a little bit into it, so you come out of it and become empowered. But those are some of the things that we're talking about, like maybe, how your emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, all those things. But the first thing that you have to do is write down, between now and next few minutes that we come back, is defining your goals. What is your goal? With that, we will be back in a few seconds. Welcome back. And we're talking about empowerment, right? So hopefully you have some goals written, goals of what self-empowerment is for you, and how do you find that in being balanced, right? So balance, we're talking about balance, but it's kind of confusing. You would think that balance is being so balanced. To be honest with you, you could think that balance is kind of boring, but it's anything but boring. Balance is what actually will empower you to do things, bigger and better things in life, actually, right? So having but the balance could be also, you could get stuck in like trying to balance everything, and you can get stuck in that, but that's not the goal. The goal is to become empowered through balance. But what happens is, if you want to, let's just say you're looking at having balance, but you're looking at maybe working out or something like that, right? So your workout is good, so that day you actually do more workout, so you cannot have total balance all the time every single day. So again, what is your goal? What goal did you write down? And look at your balance through the week or even a day, right? But you cannot sustain, be in balance all the time. That's my point, right? But finding that empowerment through balance, the reason for that is that once you are in balance, you actually you look at the life and saying, oh, I've divided my life into finding balance with my physical health, mental health, relationships, your social life, your community involvement, or if there's something else, that helps you get you in balance, actually. So you look at all this, to the point is that you're looking at a life through a lens of finding that balance, doing the things that you need to do and want to do in life, right? And so that's the key that we have to keep in mind, because you are actually intellectually looking at how to find balance in your life, how to get empowered. So when you look at the life that way, you're looking at, oh, you know what? I'm lacking in this part in my life. I have not spent much time doing this, spending time with your kids, your work, your parents, or whatever that may be, that I have not done this. Oh yeah, it looks a little bit weak. Okay, next 1 week, I am going to, next 1 week, maybe call my parents, spend more time with my kids, or spend more time at work, whatever that may be, right? And so you catch up. So that you are, as a result, empowering yourself. You're empowering yourself to do those things and catch up with the things that lagged behind, actually, for whatever reason. And there was all kinds of reasons. I'm here to tell you that we make sure that it is not an excuse, that you are learning to balancing your life and empowering yourself. That's what empowerment is all about. It's you becoming empowered inside out, right? And your self-care, you understanding that who are you? You are stepping into the part of your life that is really you, and you're aligning yourself with what you want and what are your values and what you actually want out of life. So people are waiting. I'm not going to tell you what you want out of life. That's your job. That's who you are. You align yourself with your own values and with your own authenticity. Step into who you are. So I am trying to help you empower yourself, but it's about you empowering yourself. I cannot empower you. You are going to empower yourself. But the whole idea is that you stay focused. You stay focused on wanting to do that. And to stay focused on doing that, you have to look at your life from a balanced standpoint. And the areas that are not not being covered, you take care of those. But that's okay. That's what it is. And that's how you will become empowered. And because that's, you'll also, and the other areas that may be taking more time for you, you might have to set some boundaries in those areas. But you're going to understand that when you're looking at how balance your life or off balance your life is, you will actually look at those areas and say, you know what, I need to set some boundaries because I'm spending too much time doing this and I'm not getting that much out of it, and I'm spending less time and really lagging behind in this part of my life, whatever that may be, your workout, your relationships. So looking at then, okay, I need to set boundaries, so I spend less time, and I need to spend more time. So you pretty much balancing your life that way. I hope this is making sense to you. It's actually about, I'm going to ask you that I'm going to tell you that and ask you to look at yourself. You look at understanding and reclaiming who you are as a person and finding out your own authenticity. Well, with that, I will be back in a few seconds. This is RadioNyra 99.9 FM, HD4 101.9 FM, 1490 AM. And, I would love to actually hear your feedback and understanding of what your needs are, actually, so I can maybe talk about them next week. So please email me at info@radioNyra.com and at RadioNyra USA on Instagram. Message me because I'm here to help you understand about how to reclaim yourself, how to find that balance, how to become, more authentic about who you are and things like that. So I would love to hear your feedback, love to hear your questions so I can answer some of those questions. With that, I will be back in a few seconds. Enjoy the music.
Uniform. At Cloud Divine Custom, we're doing something different. We create fully custom athletic and lifestyle apparel for teams, restaurants, gyms, and businesses. From sublimated jerseys to custom shirts for your staff, everything is crafted to match your vision. With premium embroidery, vibrant sublimation, and bold puff print, we provide the specialized finishes that make your brand pop. Plus, with free in-house design and low minimum order quantities, getting custom gear for your team has never been easier. Cloud Divine Custom, apparel that actually represents your brand. Find us on Instagram or visit clouddivinecustom.com. Official apparel partner of Radio Nyra.
Do you desire for contemporary and classic jewelry designs to fit every occasion? Khanna and Sons Jewelers has you covered for all your jewelry needs. We craft the purest 22 karat gold and 18 karat dazzling diamonds jewelry with top quality and finish. We offer best value in jewelry along with top craftsmanship and fair making charges. Gold buyback, easy 12 months interest-free financing available. Come see us for all your jewelry needs at Khanna and Sons Jewelers in Cary, North Carolina, or call us at 919-388-3838.
मॉरिसविल वालों ध्यान से सुनो, जबरदस्त न्यूज, फुल टू मस्त फुल टू टेस्ट आ चुकी है मॉरिसविल में रक्षा बंडा फूड ट्रक। अरे भाई ये सिर्फ फूड ट्रक नहीं, ये है अपना नया अड्डा जहां दोस्त मिलेंगे, महफिल जमेगी और प्लेट में मिलेगा गर्मा गर्म स्वादिष्ट खाना। खाना बनेगा ऑर्डर पे 100% प्योर वेज, एकदम फ्रेश। पाव भाजी हो या स्ट्रीट फ्लेवर्स, अपना शेफ दिल से पकाता जो सीधा दिल में उतरता। चखते ही बोलोगे क्या बात क्या बात क्या बात। तो एड्रेस नोट करो ना, 3611 डेविस ड्राइव, मॉरिसविल। एवरी इवनिंग 5 to 10 PM एक्सेप्ट ट्यूजडेज। उनको ईमेल कर सकते हैं info@rachabanda.ai, कॉल या व्हाट्सएप भी कर सकते हैं 984-254-0111। रचाबंडा फूड ट्रक, एक बार आए तो रोज याद आए।
Welcome back. This is Radio Nyra 99.9 FM HD4, 101.9 FM, 1490 AM. And you're listening to Monday Motivation with Madhu Sharma as a host, your host. And again, I like to hear from you. So email me as to request something that you might want to hear about, something that you might want to talk about. And I'm thinking about maybe having some guests. So tell me, what is it that you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to learn, find out, and all that? So email me on info@radioNyra.com or send me a message on Instagram at RadioNyra USA. So with that, we're talking about reclaiming your, finding out your own authenticity, learning about you, who you are if you don't already know. And a lot of times we don't really know who we are. We actually have to go dive deeper into learning about who we are. And how are we going to do that? So it's really a process that we're talking about, right? Writing down the things that are important in your life to find that balance that we're talking about earlier. But what are the missing pieces? There may be some missing pieces, missing things that you might want to do, you might like, and that you've not really thought about. What is it now? We're going back to the first hour that when I talked to you about happiness. Are you really happy at this point in your life? Is there a missing part in your life that you're not happy about? So how do you bring that part of it? So these are some of the things, we have to learn to figure out our own life and understanding our own life. A lot of times not a lot of times, I'll be very honest, most of the time we grow up with people telling us what is right for you, what's wrong for you, this is what you can do, this is what you need to do, but you're all adults that I'm talking to. It's really, as we become adults, it becomes our responsibility to learn to figure out who we are and what's making us happy or what's not making us happy. What is it that we want? What are our goals? And, if you really look at all that without emotional baggage, so to speak, or understanding emotionally that you're trying to do it in a balanced state of mind, that's going to empower you to take the next step. And it's very, very, very critical to understand that, what are your boundaries? Who are you, what are your boundaries, or what is the area that you can excel and you need to spend more time if that's what's going to make you happy. Understanding that we do have to work, we do have to take care of our family, we have to take care of our health, physical health, mental health. I mean, it's making you tired, right, listening to me. But there are all those areas in our life that we do have to think and look and talk and write down and understand. It's not, people think like life is, is so simple. We can do this, we can do that. No, life is about learning who you are, what your needs are, and what makes you happy, what makes you unhappy. It's not written anywhere. And there's no guide that we come with, but we do come with our hearts. We do come with our soul. We do come into this world with our consciousness. We do come in with our inner drive that we can become empowered, and we take care of our own life. We take care of our lives in our own hands, in our palm, right? So there might be something that you had passion for when you were younger. So what do? You lost that passion because your life got off balance with going to school, going back to school, taking care of the kids, blah, 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 all those things, So how do you go back and really connect with that passion that you had that's going to bring you back in balance and going to bring you happiness, right? So that's something, something that we talk about. And we all of us, there's nothing wrong in losing that passion sometimes, because life is all about keeping in balance and having, all these other areas of our lives that kind of take us off balance. I mean, there's nothing more simpler than to understanding it that way. But then understanding how do we get back to that, and what does it mean? And we still take care of our responsibilities in life. We still do all these other things that are important, because what are those? Our responsibilities are our values. They're not something to just not talk about. They're a very important part of you. Your responsibilities, your duty, like our responsibilities toward work, our self, physical, mental self, our relationships, our children, our parents, our social life, those are responsibilities. But don't look at them as negative, is my point. Look at them that those responsibilities are part of who you are. That is part of makes you who you are. And that's what makes you authentic. Brings you authenticity in your life. But we can go too far on one side also. So what do we do? How do we set those boundaries that we don't go off track in one of those parts of your life that I'm talking about? Because when we get off track in one of those parts in our lives, what happens? We kind of become off balance, right? When you're off balance, you're not feeling empowered, So I'm kind of going back and forth, and I understand but I'm making a point here that self-empowerment through balance actually is about setting boundaries. It's about authenticity. It's about your self-awareness and your resilience, building all the resilience, your emotional resilience. You're building resilience and becoming, more empowered. And what is empowerment? Empowerment is not one thing all the time. It's about learning. It's about becoming, getting back on track. I think we talked last time about, learning the bike. So you learn how to ride a bike. Okay, you're going to fall off. When you first learn how to ride a bike, we're going to fall off. Everybody knows that. The key is resiliency. The key is how do you get back on it? So with that, let us look at, hear the music a little bit, and we'll be right back in a few seconds. Welcome back. You're listening to Monday Motivation with your host, Madhu Sharma. And hopefully you're enjoying some of that music, actually. Music kind of relaxes you and gets you back in the zone, help you understand, calms your nerves down, calms you down. So that's why the music is very important, right? But again, I would love to hear from you. Email me on info@RadioNyra.com or on Instagram @RadioNyraUSA. We were talking about empowerment. So one of the things that's very key and important is that empowerment within you, it's about inner self. So we've kind of gone through with happiness a few weeks ago, and then we went to self confidence, and then we went to self-esteem, talked about self-esteem last week. And these things, as you can see, we're going from happiness is an outer thing, right? We're going kind of we're diving deeper into ourself. And now today we're talking about your inner self, because the empowerment actually only happens from inside out. Inside out. You cannot from outside in is a lot of times, outside in are the tools. They don't empower you, but they are the tools, which I'm going to give you a couple of the tools. Like, one of the things that if you are looking at wanting to do something, whatever that may be, learning to ride a bike or run a mile or doing yoga or writing a book or whatever that is, start with saying it, actually making a sentence and saying, I can, I choose to, I want to, and I choose to, and I can do this. It's people think like, I don't have to write this down, I know it's in my mind. No, writing it down makes all the difference in the world. So don't minimize that, actually, right? Because writing it down actually validates your own thinking. It tells you that you can do it, and it's validating your own thought process. So writing it down brings it home, basically, right? That's so to speak, just like making sure that you can do it, and that you are actually totally committed to it. Empowerment does not happen unless you are totally committed to doing that, right? So writing it down actually kind of seals it to some extent, saying that I am committed to doing, working out or feeling empowered. I'm feeling totally happy from inside out. And how do I do that? I need to think about more listening to more music or art or playing music or running, whatever that may be, right? But actually doing it, we minimize the part that actually writing it down, a letter to yourself, notes to yourself, are a key to you actually sealing what is it that you're looking for, and finding that balance, that you might have missed. But writing it down, you're sealing that, you're saying that, you're committing it. And that's going to bring you to a point where you will get empowered. Because there's always something that we overlook. It's easy, you might have heard people saying, well, I know, I've thought about all that. Until you write it down, you have not thought about it, because you could have missed something, obviously, right? But some of the things that you could look at is, we do have, and we have to be realistic. I mean, I'm not saying that you can do everything and be empowered to ride a motorcycle or fly an airplane, and obviously what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we all do, actually. We all have our strengths. We have the strength, and we have our weaknesses, I am actually personally afraid of heights. I'll never fly an airplane. I have no desire. I actually have no desire to go on the mountaintop because I'm afraid of heights, But I've run 2 half marathons. I can run half marathons, but I don't have any desire to run a full marathon. really, because I don't have any desire. That's not gonna give me happiness. It's not gonna empower me. And, might hurt my knees. But doing half marathon, I did get empowered. I felt good about it. So I know my limitations. And I also want to stretch to the possible level, how far I can stretch myself. So you have to know what your own boundaries are, first of all, before you can put boundaries in the areas or with other people. You have to know what your strengths are. You have to know what your limitations are. And sometimes those limitations you can stretch, but you have to know that, is that really going to bring you happiness? Or is that really going to empower you? Or is it just an ego-driven stretch? And that's where I talked about a few minutes ago about authenticity, about being authentic. So be authentic with who you are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. That is the main, and that's what I mean diving deeper into, using the AI example, right? Dive deeper into what is it that you really want? What are your strengths? And what are your weaknesses, or maybe limitations, let's just say, not maybe even weaknesses, but what are your limitations? Because we all have limitations and we all have strengths, but the key to self-awareness is to understanding what it is. And self-empowerment, it's a constant juggling act, so to speak, but it's realignment in your thought process or your strengths, what your strengths are. You keep moving in the direction using your strengths, right? And what are those strengths? And keep aligning yourself. So it's really all about alignment of your authentic self with your strengths, actually, and understanding your limitations, but setting those boundaries, is really, it's really a key, because these boundaries is what's going to help you become actually to stay in the zone for a longer time and protect you from a burnout, right? Self-empowerment is an ongoing journey, actually. It's not one time and one mold fit all. No, it's not. It's about, empowering yourself. It's about cultivating your authenticity, understanding and getting down to it, building your resiliency, building your understanding your strengths, all of those things, right? And really, sometimes, maybe you had something that you wanted to try and you forgot about it. So it's going back to really, and maybe that was your strength, right? So understanding that, going back to that, and really a key to becoming becoming empowered is truly and honestly understanding what your strengths are and what your limitations are without getting the ego in the way. And too many times we get off track, actually. We get off track because we bring this egoistic part of us into saying, I can do anything, I am able to do this. You can do anything, but is that going to bring you happiness? Or is that you're doing that out of ego, or you're doing this out of jealousy, or you're doing this out of show off because somebody else, has this, so they can do it. And that's only a temporary happiness that you will experience. And what will happen is when you actually do that, when you're finished with that, it's going to bring you unhappiness because you're not empowered by doing it, because that was driven more from egoistic attitude and wasn't really your strength, so focusing on what your strength is, what is your priority, what are you driven by, not what somebody else is saying or somebody else is wanting you to do. No. This is actually what you want to do. And I'm going to end today with telling you that no matter how old you are, you're listening to me talk here, no matter how old you are, no matter what you do in your life, no matter whether you're man, female, child, adult, older, grandpa, grandma, nani, dadi, whoever, doesn't matter. The point is, you are all born, we are all actually born with that, with our inner self, with our spirit, with our soul, with whatever you want to call it, consciousness. We are all born with that, and we all know who we are if we use the terminology from AI to dive deeper into it, to understand who we are, what our needs are, what our values are, what will make us happy. And then you can actually have a guide, you can have a goal, you can have a project plan for yourself to become empowered and get back on track from inside out. So with that, again, you're listening to RadioNyra 99.9 FM, HD4 101.9 FM, 1490 AM. And this is Monday Motivation. I am your host, Madhu Sharma. And next week, we will talk from 9 to 10, Monday Motivation. Again, and in the meantime, I would really, really, again, appreciate if you can send me an email and let me know what you think of this and what topic you would like me to discuss in next coming weeks. With that, I will take leave and have a wonderful week and get motivated and empowered rest of the week.